Hey guys, how's it going? My name is Ryan Skinner, and I'm here today to talk to you about how to web scrape modern websites. So, first question: what is web scraping? Web scraping is a method used by web developers to extract large amounts of data for any given website. This method is used to save developers time so that they don't have to actually visit these sites and manually log all of the data themselves. So, yeah, like think about having to go to some website that has a bunch of data, like some macroeconomic site that has a bunch of data points for median income for a certain region. And you have to like log all of that into a database. Like that would take forever, and nobody wants to do that. So we should scrape that site for the information. It'll be done in 2 seconds. So yes, why should you scrape a website? Do not waste your time! Exclamation point. If you want to make, so you do this if you want to make calculations using massive amounts of data, / use massive amounts of data off of any given website. An example would be finding the median income of a particular state or region in America, or say, your employer wants you to export a CSV file or an Excel file with a bunch of data points from a website. Like you could do that in JavaScript and using a web scraper, because like a CSV file is just a bunch of little strings separated by commas, so it's super easy to do that. So the two common libraries used to scrape websites are Request and Cheerio. Request basically sends an HTTP request to any given URL, and it comes back with the HTML file parsed into one large string. And Cheerio is a fast, flexible, and lean implementation of jQuery made specifically for the server. So you're not necessarily traversing through a DOM. You're traversing through this string of data that you get back from request. So to demo that, let's scrape a site real quick. And okay. So in this example, we're going to go to hackernews.com and scrape the site to get all of the the news for today. This isn't particularly useful right now, but this is just an example for example's sake. So what I'm doing here is you're just going to the site. I'm using a request promise, like promisifying the request function. And then I'm dot-netting off that, and then I'm loading the page into the Cheerio library, and then this little $sign is acting like jQuery pretty much. So I'm looking at every span com head, and that's like one of the elements on the site that contains the text of the article or whatever you're looking for. So basically you'd have to go to the site prior to scraping it, look up whatever class or element you want, and get the text off of that. So if we go there, give me 1 second. Okay. This comes back with all of the news from today from Hacker News. So yeah, so that works, and that's usually what developers do to scrape static HTML websites. So back to Brazil. Okay. So they should work all the time, right? Wrong. What about Angular and React, sites? What about websites built in these, modern libraries and frameworks? If you send an HTTP request to those sites, you don't get back all of the information necessarily. But you have to use a different library. And watch out, because it's about to get spooky. Here comes Nightmare.js. Don't be frightened by this photo. It's not real. So what is Nightmare.js? It's a JavaScript library that launches a headless browser. And a headless browser is just basically like a web browser without the graphical user interface. So think of using Google Chrome to go to a website and look at it. It's doing exactly that, but you just don't see, the Chrome window. You're just doing it on your terminal. So we'll demo Nightmare.js. Give me 1 second. So let's say, well, first of all, we're going to scrape this one site called Pad Mapper. And this site is built in Angular. And you can see that if you inspect it real quick. Because you'll see it looks like a bunch of these ng ifs. These are conditional cases in Angular saying like if user does this action, then display this data, and so on and so forth. So this has like a little lazy loading sort of scroll bar right here. So let's say I wanted to get like all of these prices off of like a general area, like Williamsburg, Brooklyn, or something like that. And I wanted to find, say, the median price range for this general region, like general area. I would have to use Nightmare.js because you have to visit that site and you have to like activate it using JavaScript. So I wrote this little script, hold on. And what this is doing is using the Nightmare library, and I'm using a generator function to basically go to padmapper.com, simulate a type in its search bar, click enter, wait 2 seconds, and then click 2-bedroom apartments, wait 3 seconds, and then all of these are just simulating scrolls. Like, I think it's like 10 or 15 scrolls, I think. And then at the bottom, once I'm done scrolling, I'm just exporting the HTML file to a .txt, and that will have all the information from the website. So let's try this out. OK, so here we go. Opens it up. Types in Williamsburg, Brooklyn. Clicks 2, and then it starts scrolling all by itself. So it's waiting 2 seconds to wait for the eager loading to load and to get all of the information. So it's going to take a little bit. Give it a second. Hold on. And it's done. OK. So I exported this to page-html.txt, and here it is, this large HTML page full of information. And the tag for finding like that price is like span class equals text. So if we search that, you'll see all of the prices from that search, because I scrolled through it. I wouldn't have these if I didn't actually go to that site and scroll it myself. And you can't do this with request to Cheerio because you're just virtually going there. You're not actually visiting that site with a browser. So yeah, you can do whatever you want with this information. You can find the average price range, or you can like go through, like traverse through this whole string and do whatever you want with the information you get back from the site. So yeah. And wait. And that's it. That's all I have.